and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today is going to be my book review of Wolfsong by TJ Klune. So Wolfsong is the first in a series by TJ Klune. We all know on this channel I am a big TJ Klune fan. I've read House in the Cerulean Sea, 5 stars. What's the other one called? I am going blank as I am filming. I read Under the Whispering Door, 5 stars. And now I've been trying to get some of their back catalogue as well. I bought the Extraordinary series recently to read, and I'm buying the reprints of the Wolfsong that sort of match the rest of the hardbacks that I've got. But this book essentially is about our main character Ox, which is short for Oxnard, which is quite an unusual name. And Ox has a bit of a complicated family, and his mum is a single mum. His dad left when he was quite young, and his dad was pretty harsh to him when he left, and he doesn't really fit in anywhere. He's a bit of a loner, and he just doesn't really have a group of people that he really fits in with. He doesn't have many friends, and he works as well as going to school to try and help support his mum because his dad left, basically. So he doesn't have a hell of a lot of free time for friends and is a lot more mature than a lot of kids his age. And then a family move into the house next door called the Bennett family, and he makes an instant connection with the youngest son in that family, Joe, and he has previously had a wee bit of a connection with one of the older brothers, Mark, and the Bennetts basically just welcome him and his mum in with open arms and include them in part of their family and part of their family traditions, and it's just about how their relationships evolve and grow over time, as well as the caveat that the Bennetts are werewolves. So this is going to be a spoilery review. If you haven't read Wolfsong yet and you think that that sounds like your cup of tea, then I probably would skip this video, to be honest, because I don't really feel like there is a lot that I can say without spoiling it, because I absolutely loved it so much, and so I want to go into like every tiny wee nitty gritty detail. So this was the last book that my Granny Betty actually gave me. She gifted it to me for Christmas last year, which was the last Christmas we got to spend with her. And so after her funeral and things like that, I decided that I wanted to pick this up because I just felt like it would be really comforting to read a book that she had picked for me, and it really was. And it's definitely a book that me and her would have enjoyed together, and so it was really nice just to be reading this at quite a difficult time where, like, you know, the fact that we were losing her, like, was really hitting, and it was quite real to have like this sense of closeness and comfort and knowing that she would have really enjoyed this as well. So it had quite an emotional impact on me from that point of view, but that didn't impact like the story or anything at all. Like, the book stands on its own. It was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed all the relationships in here. You know, they are not all smooth sailing, they are not all easy, some of them are a wee bit angsty, and I really enjoyed that. I think that the writing in here was phenomenal. The world is so interesting and I really loved it, and even though it's more expansive than some of TJ Klune's other works in terms of the world and the amount of characters that are in here, with it being a series, I've only ever read standalones before, I feel like it still managed to have those like cozy vibes, and he always writes such amazing found family and just great connections between characters, and that's something that I always really get out of TJ Klune's books, is just his character work is absolutely phenomenal. So this was a 5-star for me, no surprise at all. But now we are going to move on to spoiler territory, so if you aren't interested in spoilers, click away now. So some of the criticism around this book that I have seen is pertaining to the age gap between Joe and Ox, and so I just want to talk a wee bit about that first of all, because age gaps is something that I have spoken about a lot on my channel. I've had some issues with the first Rhapsodic book because of the age gap there, and the fact that Desmond was a grown-ass man and Callie was a teenage girl, and just was a wee bit icky to me. And I don't have a single problem with the age gap in this book. So when Ox first meets Joe, who, spoilers, is his potential love interest, Joe is 10 and Ox is 16. Now, they just become fast friends, and they just have such a cute relationship, and, you know, I think Ox never sees him like as a younger brother. It's no like that. Like, they are just really good friends, and Joe has had quite a traumatic past, and Ox really helps him with that and really brings him out of his shell and brings him a lot of comfort, and it's very healing in a sense for Joe to have Ox around and just somebody who he can have loads and loads of fun with. And nothing romantic happens between the boys at all until Joe turns 17, and even then it is just a case of Ox realising like Joe's grown up and I find him quite attractive, and like they never even have sex or anything like that until Joe is 23. So there is nothing untoward about their relationship. I didn't find it creepy or weird. Like, there is a 6-year age difference and they don't even really get together until they're 23. So I really didn't have an issue with that. When Joe is 17, they go through quite a lot traumatically as a family, and he and Ox have a kiss, and you know, they express their feelings for each other, and they decide that they want to be together, but obviously that nothing more romantically can happen until Joe is 18. But Joe needs to leave, and so Ox doesn't see him again until he is 23, and that's where they really have a go at a relationship. And I didn't feel like it was weird. I didn't feel like it was awkward or anything at all. I've seen loads of criticism of people being like, oh my god, tell me I'm not going to be rooting for this 10-year-old boy and this 16-year-old guy to get together. Like, well, no, you obviously aren't. Like, clearly no. Like, they get together when they're older, and that's absolutely fine. Like, they are both adults who are capable of making their own choices and decisions. So, like, calm down, Karen. And I can't help but feel, if this was a straight author and that this wasn't a queer romance, that criticism of this book wouldn't be here. Like, nobody was criticising Edward and Bella and Twilight. Everybody was like, oh my god, it's so romantic. But because this is a queer relationship, there's just that judgmental undertone and that constant reinforcement that if you're queer, you're a paedophile. And I fucking hate that. Like, that is my biggest bugbear ever. It's something that I talk about all the time. It's something that I rant about all the time. Does my box in. So, like, just right off the bat, no having any of that tolerated. Like, absolutely not. No comments. Anything of that ilk will be tolerated. Like, they are grown-ups. They have a grown-up relationship. End off. And like, I don't think that 6 years of an age gap is that big of an age difference either in terms of a romance. Like, I've read books where it is much higher. Me and Simon's like 4.5 years between us, so like, it's no that big a deal, I don't think. Age gap aside, I really, really liked Joe and Ox's relationship. There's a lot of anger and conflict in their relationship. So when Joe comes back for being away, Ox doesn't really know how he should feel about it. He feels really hurt and really abandoned that Joe would go away for so long, and he doesn't really understand why he did that. And even though it's pretty clear to us as readers why Joe did that, it's also pretty clear to us as readers why Ox is pissed, and that's something that I really, really enjoyed. I feel like we know both of these characters so well, and we know all their thoughts and feelings so well, that an event happens and we know how both of them are going to react, and unfortunately it means going their separate ways for a bit. And I didn't pick a side here. Like, I think sometimes in romance you're set to pick a side, and with Ox being our main protagonist, you know, potentially it could have been skewed for us to really, really back him. I didn't. I backed him and Joe equally. Like, I could understand both of their reasons for why they felt the way that they felt. I just really wanted them to get together and make up, which they eventually did, and I was really, really happy about that. I really loved the world in here. It was so interesting. So in this world, every werewolf pack has an alpha, obviously, like normal, but there is like a political hierarchy, and there's like an alpha, I guess, and they are like head of the werewolves, and the Thomas Bennett, who is Joe's dad, is that alpha for the werewolves, and where they live in Wolf Creek, in Green Creek rather, Wolf Creek, that would sort of give you away. In Green Creek, that is his like home territory, but he is like in charge of all of the wolves. But he stepped down for that position and has appointed some other members of the Bennett family to take those positions, while he focused and spent some time with his family after everything that Joe had been through. And also in this world, there needs to be a witch for every wolf pack as well, and they just help out with like different wards, different magic, any sort of magical queries or whatever, and the witch is beholden to the alpha, and they both essentially work together for the protection and betterment of the pack, and the witch is accepted as part of the pack even though they aren't actually a werewolf. And I really enjoyed that. It was something a wee bit different, added a new bit of lore, and I thought that was fantastic. There's also a thing called tethers in this book as well, and it is essentially a magical being, so either a witch or a werewolf. There may be others later in the series, but that is all I know about at this stage. They need someone to tether them, so that if they're getting a wee bit too wild, if their magic's getting a wee bit out of control, they have somebody who can like pull them back and just make sure that they are safe and they're never going to lose control past a certain point. And Joe, his tether in here is Ox, but Gordo, who's a side character who I really loved, is also tethered to Ox. So Gordo's a witch, and he has just been brilliant to Ox basically for his entire life, and I really loved their friendship. So Ox's dad used to work for Gordo at his mechanic shop. When his dad leaves, Ox decides that he wants to start working there so that he can earn some extra money to help support his mum, and Gordo starts helping his mum with bills and stuff, and allows Ox to do like a wee bit of work as long as it never interferes with his school. And then when Ox leaves school, he starts working with Gordo full time. But Ox doesn't know that Gordo's a witch while all of this is going on, and he doesn't find out that Gordo's a witch until the wolves start coming along, and the wolves accept Joe and his mum into their pack, and Gordo needs to be like, you can't go and run with the wolves because you're my tether and I'm going to need you. Then he finds out that he is also Joe's tether. So Ox is quite special, and you know, it's never happened before that somebody has been a tether to both a witch and a wolf, and it puts him in awkward positions sometimes, depending on who he needs to be there for and the choices that he decides to make. But I really enjoyed that element of it. I'm finding the magic system in here to be super interesting, and I can't wait to read more in the series to see how it progresses and the different lore and rules that get fed through. I think that that's going to be really excellent. And then I just want to talk about really the family relationships in here. I thought were excellent. We see Ox from a really young age with his dad leaving, and you see the impact that that has on him, and how he really carries his dad having left, and everything his dad says to him when he left with him every single day, and that was heartbreaking. And you really get to connect with his mum, who just works her arse off and does everything she can to try and keep them afloat and give him the best life possible. And then we meet the Bennetts, who are just like the cutest wee family ever, and really connected to all the Bennetts. And that's the thing as well that I love with TJ Klune books, is even though the daft wee side characters you really get emotionally attached to, and you do. The Bennetts are like a big rowdy family, and you know, they really like family time, they're dead close knit, and before you know that they're wolves, you just think that they're like a really lovely affectionate family. Then obviously when you find out that they're wolves, you can understand that some of their behaviours are then pack behaviour. But they're just brilliant, and they're so loving and so accepting, and you know, they challenge each other where needed, but ultimately they support each other's decisions. And I really liked seeing them take in Joe and Joe's mum also, Ox and his mum, as like members of their own, and taking them into the pack, because I just felt like if any two people deserve a really big loving family, it's the two of them. and so I enjoyed that element of it. And I also really liked their relationship with Ox after the fact. So Thomas passes. There is a big bad that comes into the book and is quite a prominent feature, and he unfortunately kills Ox's mum, and he also kills Joe's dad Thomas, and that is ultimately what leads Joe to leave. So Joe is like, I need to track down this guy, I need to kill him, and Ox is like, my mum has just died, and essentially the only dad I've ever known has just died, and now I'm going to lose you and Ox, you're going to bugger off like on a revenge mission, so like your revenge is obviously more important to you than me. And that's where all their conflict comes from, and like I totally see both sides, and I'd probably, to be honest, be a bit more Joe myself if that situation was to occur. But after that happens, you know, the Bennets really look after Ox, and Ox really looks after them, and they just help each other through all this emotion, and they really turn to Ox to be essentially the new leader of the pack, and he works really hard to keep them safe, and he brings some other people and other characters who we know who are humans into the pack also, to just try and bolster their numbers and, you know, help when bad stuff happens. But it was just excellent, and I really liked their relationship. Essentially, Joe's gone for so long that some other wolves come to try and fight for the territory, and Ox and the pack need to guard it. And because this happens quite a few times, Ox essentially becomes the new alpha of the pack, and so that is, you know, Joe's mum and Joe's brother and Joe's sister, and then like other people that they have known. And when Joe comes back, he's like, alright, there's another alpha here, like I get it. And so the territory and relationship between them all is interesting. But I love that Elizabeth, Joe's mum, sticks by Ox, and she's like, you're my alpha, like you kept me safe. Joe's my son, love him to bits, have nothing but respect and love for him, but like, you know, I need to make sure that you're alright as well. And I really liked that. I think that was just like ultimate acceptance for Ox. Like, even when her real son had come back, you know, she still had his back as well. It wasn't like he was just dropped and she went back to Joe, and I really liked that. I liked all the family bonds. I liked that you got to know all their like inside family jokes and their wee traditions, and you just got to hang about with them. It really made you feel like you were part of this gang and this family, and I loved that. And I really enjoyed everything about this book basically, but just all the relationships in here, they were written so brilliantly, and I can't wait to go into the second book already. I have an arc in the second book, and so like I'm going to be reading that soon. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think that the queer rep in here was excellent. You know, we have obviously Ox and Joe, who are in a gay relationship, which is fantastic, but we also have our wolf characters, and you know, wolf characters didn't define sexuality in the same way that we do, and so they are all sort of openly bi, pan. They just, you know, don't see genders, I guess, in the same way as we do, and they're just a wee bit more open, which is excellent. So there's really good rep there as well. We have Gordo, who is also gay, and just excellent, absolutely excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There is loads of queer rep in here, and there's also queer sex scenes in here as well, which is the first book I've ever read that has had that described basically, which, considering the amount of queer books I read, I feel is actually quite surprising. And we all know I am a huge fan of a sex scene. I am really into smut, but like, good for TJ Klune for including it in here, because out of all the queer books I've read, I've never read a male sex scene, which seems so stupid. So good for him for including this in here, and I'm sure some people would really enjoy that. I just am one of them. I don't care for smut regardless of the makeup of the couple, but there's some of that in here, and it was just excellent. It was just phenomenal. I I don't like V.E. Schwab, as we know. I really don't like her writing, but she has categorised this book as like being wrapped up in a big gay blanket, and like I couldn't agree more. It's probably the only thing in her life she's ever written that I agree with and that I enjoy. But aye, this was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a 5-star read for me. It was really wholesome. It was really sad, really emotional, really queer, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you are a fan of fantasy and if you like queer books, this is your guy. Like, it was amazing. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!